So I created this course specifically for you because I dealt with this kind of situation when I was learning my SQL, and I found out that okay, when you're learning SQL, these are only the things that's as a beginner to land a job in data, either data analysis or data science, data engineer. These are the things that you need to land job in those fields. Okay, so I compiled everything and I made a video about all the courses that you need to learn on SQL, and this is the video. So you need this course to land a job. It's going to show you how to query your database, how to retrieve data from your database, how to manipulate your database, how to create a table and update the table at the same time, and how to write subquery and create different joins in SQL, because you might have been hearing about joins. Here is all you need to learn your joins and everything you need as a beginner and intermediate level in SQL. Okay, make sure you drop a comment for me.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be talking about today is how to import our data into our SQL Server database. Okay, so assuming you have your CSV file or your Excel file in your laptop and you want to import it into your SQL Server database. So we have different ways of importing them, because you can have your data as a CSV file or as an Excel file. But my own that I'm going to be using today is going to be a CSV file. Okay, so just connect it. Once you open your SQL Server like this, then connect to the server. You can see the server's name and the server type is database engine. So you connect to the server, click on the connect. I can see this side here open for you. So let's open our database. Notice that we have one database here. Let's just ignore that, and we're going to be creating our database. Okay, so my own database name is Adventure Work with no space in it. So I'm going to be creating a new database for my new data set. I'm going to be getting into the database now. So to create a new database, just click on these databases here. You can see databases here, and it has a lot of things under it. So we have database system here, and we have database snapshots, and we have database names here. So I'm going to be creating another database. So right click on databases, and then you see new database here. Can see database name, just provide the name to it. So that is Adventure without space. Remember, Adventure Work. Owner is going to be default, and then leave everything as they are, then just click on OK. Now you have Adventure Work database created for you. Okay, so now after creating a database, now you have to import a data set into your database, and that's where I have my data set as a CSV file. So I'll be importing a CSV file into this database. Now if you have an Excel file, you can also import into your database. So if you want to import a data set into your database, you right click on this database just created, as this Adventure Work data set, this one you've just created now. So right click on it again, and you will see different options here, but the option we are going to be using is this tax option here. So put your mouse cursor on the tax options or click on the tax options, and you will see more options here. You can see different options here, but the option for me, because I have my own data set as a CSV file, but your own might be Excel or any other data set, but my own is CSV file, and I will be using import flat file because I have my file in CSV file. Okay, but if you have your own in Excel, you can use import data, but my own is in CSV file. I'll be using import flat file. So click on this import flat file, then it will take you to this wizard here. You can see here we have this just a step for you to upload your data set into your database. These are the steps you have to follow. So these are the things you need to read. You might just ignore them, then just click next. Then here you can see specified input file. Here I'm going to specify the input file, which is what is in my computer. I'm going to click on this browse file here to go to the file in my computer. You can see where it is in my own local computer. It's my desktop, SQL course, and internet sales data. So I'm going to be importing 3 different data sets into my SQL now. The first one is going to be this dim customer, that is a dimension table. The next one is going to be this dimension products table, and then lastly this facts table here, that is fact sales table. So let's start with let's start with this dim customer table first. So click on the dim customer table I want to import into my database, and then click on this open here. You can see the name is here for you, and then the schema is here for you. Then click on next. Then you see your data preview. So this is all the things I have in my that should be dream customer, right? These are all the things I have in my dream customer table. You can see it here. This is the customer key, geographic key, title of the customer, the first name of my customer, the last name, the birth date of the customer, and more. So just click next. After you preview your data, click on next, and the next thing is to modify your columns. Okay, so the first thing here is the column names. You can see the names of your columns here. The customer key is the column name of the column in my data, so you can see the type of that particular column name. Okay, and that's it for all of them. You can see the primary key here because I'm using a customer table name. That is, the primary key is going to be the customer key, right? Because a primary key is a unique identifier that uniquely identifies each columns in our table. Okay, so each rows in our table. So the primary key is going to be the customer key. So click the customer key for our primary key. So here it's saying, do you want to allow nulls? Yes, I want to allow nulls. If I don't want to allow nulls, I will just, because I have some null values in my title column, that's why it automatically check this one for me. Okay, but if I don't want to allow null, I just allow null for all of them. If I don't want to allow null for all of them, I just click, I won't check anything. If I don't check anything, that means I don't want to allow null. But since our title column has null, so I'm going to allow null for our title column. Okay, then just click on next. Then you can see summary of whatever you just did. Then click on finish. It's going to import data sets into our database now. So just click on close after you are done importing your data sets. Then now let's go and see our data. So to see your data, just expand this data we just created here. Expand this by clicking on this plus button here. Then go to your tables. You can see different things inside databases. We have database diagrams here. We have tables here. We have the views here and external resources and many more things here. But our own concern here now is the database table. Just click on this plus button beside database tables. Then you see different tables inside your database. You can see the table I just imported into my database. Now this is the dream customer table. So now I'm left with two different tables to import now. That is the product table and the facts table. Now let's go and import those two tables again. So again, I want to have those three tables inside one database. I don't need to create another database for the different tables. Okay, so I have those three tables inside one database. So just right click like the last step we took to import this particular one. Follow the same step to import the remaining two data sets. So right click on this adventure work database and then go to tags and then import flat files. The same process. The file name is going to be dream products now. Open. The name is here and then the schema is here. Then click on next. You're going to preview your data again. You can see in this column we have null values here. In the dates we have null values. So this is everything. Then click on next. You can see we have null here in the end date, and color also has null. And the primary key in our products table is not going to be product key. Okay, the product is going to be our primary key in the product table. Then click on next and then click on finish. Then you can see it will be imported into your database automatically. Then click on close. The same step to import the last table. Right, click on the database and then go to tasks and then go to import flat file. Go to next. Click on browse, then select the fact sales table. Then next, you can see the name here and then the schema here. Then click on next and then you can see the preview of your data here and then click on next. You can see here, but because we are dealing with facts table now, so in our fact table there is no primary key in fact table. Everything, all the keys in fact table are what we call the secondary key. Okay, all these keys you are seeing here in our fact tables are what we call secondary key. All these keys here, they are all secondary, so you don't have to select any primary key for any of them. Okay, but to allow null, okay, just avoid it because there is no null value here. So just click on next and then click on finish. And then we are good to go. Now we have our three data sets inside our one database. Okay, so now you can see here, you can't see all the tables here. There's no tables here. We have only one table here, but that's after you refresh your table, then you are going to be seeing every. So to refresh your database now, just click on this refresh or press F5 on your keyboard, or just click on this refresh button here. Then it's going to refresh all your databases. Now you'll be seeing our tables in our tables now. Now you can see the 3 tables imported here successfully. The database is like a warehouse where you install a table in SQL Server. So you create a database, then you create a table inside the database. Then we're going to be creating a column inside our table. We're going to be inserting values inside our columns, and then we're going to be deleting a database. I'll show you how to delete a database, and I'll show you how to update your records in your table. If you want to change any names in your table, you can easily change the name of the person or a particular age. You can easily change the age, and I will show you how to insert into your data into your table as well. So now let's dive in. So the first thing is how to create a database. We create a database in SQL Server. You use what we call the create, type create, then database. That is, I want to create a database, and the database name is going to be a, let's give it my company's name is what, at Ezekiel Aleki. Let me just give it Ezekiel Aleki. That's my company's name. Or Ezek Inc. Let's just give it Ezek. That is, the database name is going to be Ezek. Okay, so now to create a database, I have to run this particular query now. So to execute this, just click on this execute, or use your F5 on your keyboard to execute this particular query. Now we have our database created now. So the next thing to now see our database inside these databases here. So if you refresh and then click on expand these databases here, they're going to be seeing the Ezek database here. You can see the Ezek database now. So the next thing is to now insert a record, to insert a table, that is to create a table inside our database Ezek now. Now let's go and create a table inside our database Ezek. To now create a table inside our database Ezek, now you have to select this particular place. Now change this one to what, to Ezek. So that anything you are doing now is going to be inside Ezek database, because we have many databases here. You can see we have like 4 databases here. So anything I'm doing now is going to be inside Ezek. I want to create a table inside my database, and it's going to be creating it inside what, inside Ezek. Now I'm going to be creating a table. So just Control copy and then paste, then change this one to a table. So now you're going to be creating a table, and table name is going to be what? Table name is going to be sales data. It's going to be sales data. So let's just give it a sales. So let's just call it a sales, okay? So table's name is going to be sales, okay? So inside this table's name now, you're going to be creating some columns inside this particular table. So inside this sales table now, you're going to be creating some columns inside the sales table. So the first column is going to be our customer's name, because without customer there is no sales, right? So the first column is going to be our customer's name. That is the customer's first name. That is our first column. So type the first name here. So first name is going to be the first thing in our table, okay? So the first name, and then you have to always give it data, what we call a data type, okay? Data type is going to be what? It's going to be varchar. That is variable character. That is the data type, and then variable character, that is how many characters I want to accept in this my particular column. This is like a restriction, as you can't exceed that particular length I will specify here. Now I want to get like the name length to be what, to be only 50. Okay, that's the first name. Then use your comma to create another column. So the next column is going to be the customer's age. Let's get the customer's age. Then that's going to be an integer data type. Okay, that's going to be an integer, and the next thing is going to be the customer's yearly income. That is yearly income. Yearly income is going to be what? Is going to be integer as well. Or let's make it a float. Let's give it an int. It's going to be integer as well. And what should we get from our customers? Age, first name, yearly income. This 3 should be enough. So let's run this one now. Let's create a table now. Let's give it a space here. So now let's create a table. Let's execute this and create our table. Now we've created a table now, but we need to insert something inside the table. Let me show you the table we just created. So to now see your table, now use your select statement to select the whole table now. You select everything from that particular table we just created, the sales table. Select everything from where? From the sales table. Now let's execute this and see what we have in our table. You can see our table now. We have the first name there, that is this first name here. We have the age there, that is this age here, and then the yearly income, this yearly income here. Okay, so the next thing now is to insert something into our column. That is, I want to have my customers inside my column. So I want to have about 3 customers now. Okay, to do that, you have to come down here and then use your insert clause here. This is your insert statement here. So insert into what? Insert into that particular table. The table's name is what? The sales table. The table's name is the sales table. So insert into sales table. Now, what do you want to insert into the sales table? I want to insert the first name of the customer, the age of the customer, and then the yearly income of my customer. Okay. And so now the age, the first name is the first name of the customer, and the first name is always a string, okay, or a text. My name is a text, your name is a text, so the first name is always a text. And to type a text in SQL server, they always enclose in what? In a single quote like this. So the first customer I'm going to be having is what? Is my name and my first customer. Let me use myself as my first customer. So Ezekiel is my first customer, then use your comma. So the next thing about Ezekiel is what? Is Ezekiel's age is what? Ezekiel's age is 20. Let me just, I'm not 20, but Ezekiel's age is 20. The next thing is Ezekiel's yearly income is what? My yearly income is 20K. That is my yearly income. Now let's execute this particular line here now and see what we have. Incorrect syntax in here. Insert into. Okay, insert into sales, then I'm going to be writing the value. That's my bad. So after insert into the table's name, then the values you want to insert into the table now, that is the next thing. So the values are what? The Ezekiel, the first name. That's a mistake. Okay, let me leave the mistake as it is. I'm going to be correcting the mistake later. So you can see my name is Ezekiel, and then my age, then my yearly income. Now let's execute this and see what we have. Now it has been executed. Now let's see what we have inside our table now. So you want to select everything from that particular table and see what we have in our table. You can see now we have Ezekiel. Oh, my name is, that's a mistake. I should have written Ezekiel instead of Ezekiel. Okay. So my age is 20. Then my yearly income is what? Is this particular yearly income. Now I want to have more customers. Okay. I have like 3 customers. The next customer is going to be what? John. Then the age of John is what? Is 40, and his yearly income is 50K. Let's execute this as well. Only I like only this one. Click on execute to execute it. Now I also have more customers here. Change this one as well, and change this to Eben. And Eben's age is what? Eben's age is 59, and then his yearly income is 57K. Okay, let's execute this one as well. Now let's see what we now have in our table. After I've inserted 3 different rows inside our table, now let's see what we have in our table. So you can see the 3 different rows here. So we have the Ezekiel as our first customer, we have John as our second customer, and then we have Eben as our third customer. Okay, so that is how you create database. Then you create table at a particular column you want to insert into your table. Okay, so the next thing is how to update our table, because now I said I made a mistake earlier. So the next thing is how to update my table. So to update your table, that means you want to change a particular thing in your table that you don't like. That I want to change my name. My name is not Ezekiel, my name is Ezekiel. There is L in my name, so I want to change my name to Ezekiel now. So to do that, you have to use what we call the update in SQL. So I'm going to be updating my table now. So updates, I'm going to be updating the sales table. Update the sales table, and then I want to set my first name to what? To my correct first name, right? So Ezekiel. My first name to Ezekiel. So now use your where. So where you can use anything, either use my age or use my yearly income, but I would like to use that particular name. Where first name equals Ezekiel, something like this. Okay, so now let's execute this and see what we have. So now it's going to update my name. It's going to change this particular name here to change this one to this particular name here. And let's run and see what we have. Let's see our table. So you can see now Ezekiel has changed to Ezekiel, like completely changed to Ezekiel. You can even change. Okay, I made a mistake about my age as well, so I can easily change that one as well. Okay, I made a mistake about my age. I'm not 20, I was just lying. I am 40, okay? So I'm 40 years old. I can easily change here. So where first, set first name, no, I'm going to change this one to set age to what? To 40. I will set age to 40. So where I would like to yearly income here, where yearly income is equals to what? Is equals to 20k. Is equals to 20k, where yearly income equals to 20k. Now let's execute this and see what we have. So now let's see this. My age would have changed to also 40. As you can see my age here, that is 40. Okay, that is how you update your table. Assuming I had these customers here and then one of my customers just decided not to be my customer again. That is, we had a fallout. Okay, so he just decided like, so he's not going to be my customer again. So now I don't have him as my customer again, and he's still in my table and it will be affecting my data. Like that, so I have to delete the customer's record from my table. Okay, so to delete the record from my table, we use what we call a delete statement. Now to use a delete statement, just come here and then type your delete. To delete, so as soon as Eben fallout with, we had a fallout with Eben, that is, we had a fight with Eben, and then decided not to be our customer again forever. So I'm going to delete his record from my data forever. Okay, so anywhere I see Eben, I'm going to be deleting his name from my table completely. Okay, so to delete Eben's name, now you have to use your delete statement. So delete what? I'd like to delete from what? Delete from sales data. Where? Delete from sales data where first name equals what? Eben. I don't want to see Eben again forever. Eben is not my customer again. I'm going to be deleting his record from my table forever. So execute this particular line of code here, and then let's see what we have. Let's see if we still have Eben's record in our table. Now Eben is gone forever as my customer. Eben is no longer my customer again. Okay, so we have all our data imported into our SQL Management Studio now. So the next thing for you to do is now to preview your data in your SQL Studio, okay? It is now left to you to preview your data to see what is in your data sets in your SQL Studio here. So to now preview the data sets just imported into our SQL server. So you have different ways of doing that. So you can see our new database here, okay? So enlarge this, expand this, and then you can see our three databases just imported into our data sets now. You can see our three data sets just imported into our databases now. So to now preview each of these data sets here, you can just right click on them or select new query here. Okay, there's no new query here, then just use this adventure work database to select the new query. New query is here. So you can start writing your query now in database, okay? So the first thing you type is select statement. You select, then I want to see everything from which table. Let's do the first table first, from the gym customer table. Select everything, then use from the gym customer table. You can see the gym customer table here. Then you can easily use your tab to complete it. You can see gym customer table here. So I'll select everything. So star basically means everything, okay? I will explain more about that one later. Select everything from gym customer table. So now after writing my query, so now on my query, now you have different ways of executing your query. The first one is to use F5 on your keyboard, F5 on your keyboard to execute your query. This is the first step. The second step is to use this execute button here to execute your table. So just execute like this, the same result will be returned for you. That's how you preview your data. So you can see what our data is made of now. So we have 99 rows in our team customer data set, as you can see here. So now let's see for the next data set, which is what? Gym products. Let's copy this and paste it. Let's paste it one more time. So we can do for gym fact table as well, just fact table. So gym products now is the next one. So click on the gym product and use your tab to complete it. Now let's complete this one as well, fact table. So now to run each of these, because if I run all this one now, if I execute all these queries together, it's going to execute everything. They're going to be having three different tables now for each of these queries. That this one is one table, this is another table here, and this is the last table, that is the customer table, the gym product table, and then this fact sales table. Okay, so I execute this one all together and it's going to execute everything together for me. So you can see three different tables for all of them. You can see this one table stopped at 8, another one stopped at 8. So you can scroll down to see the last table here. So you can see all of them will be executed at the same time. If you now want to see the complete data in this first table, now you can easily scroll down to see the complete data set in this first table. If you now want to execute this one by one, you have to highlight the one you want to execute. I want to execute this dim customer table. I like the dim customer table and then execute it separately. You can see only that one will be executed and return for us. If I want to execute this dim product table, just highlight it and then select execute here. To execute only the dim product table, you can see what is in our dim product table. So you have the product key here, the product name, you can even rename this product name here, and we have the color, the start date and the end date here. Okay, so I want to rename the column. Okay, let me just, you want this as well. If I rename the columns, so you can see what is in our fact internet sales table. So you have different columns here in our fact internet sales table. So that's how you select and preview what you have in your table in SQL. Okay, if I want to select if I want to select some of my columns in my table, I don't want to see all the columns in my table, I can easily specify the columns I want to select in my table. For example, now let me run only this one, only this dim customer table, and see the columns we have in our table. So we have customer key, geography key, title, first name, last name, birthday, and more. So I want to select only the customer key, the first name, last name, and the birth date, and then the gender and the yearly income. I will now ignore every other ones from this table. I don't want to select everything from this table. I only want 6 columns alone. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 11 columns is what we have here. But I want only 6 columns from our dim customer table. I have to specify the columns I want in our dim customer table. So I want the customer key. So you can see the customer key here. Then use your comma. Then select the next one I want. I want the first name as well. The first name is here. Then comma. I want the last name. Last name. Then use your comma. Then I want the birth date. Then use your comma. Then I want the marital status. Use comma to separate each of the columns, and then gender. Gender is here, and then yearly income. Don't need space, but there are no spaces in others. Then yearly income. So now I've selected only the columns I want to see from my table. So now to execute this, now I have to select all this and then execute. Then now see the columns will be reduced to about 6 or 7 columns now. So you can see only those columns I selected is now being previewed for me here. So you can now easily export this particular data set into your Excel and then do your analysis easily, very easily. The next I'm going to be looking at today is going to be the where clause. Okay, the where clause basically is like a filter in Power BI or in Excel. You know, in Excel there's a way you can use filter in Excel and a way you can use filter in Power BI. So the where clause in SQL is like filter in Power BI and SQL and in Excel. Okay, so this is basically a way of you specifying what you want to get from your data set. Okay, for example, now I want to see only the male gender. So you can easily use where to filter for only the male gender. So you can see here we have both male and female gender here. We have male marital status of married and single people here. So I want to see only one of them. So I can easily see what I want to see by using where clause, just like filter in Power BI and in Excel. So to use where clause, you just start after you type the select statement and then type from the table you want to see from the table you want to see what you're selecting. For example, I want to select let me select the customer key, comma, then I would like to have the customer's first name only. I like to ignore the customer's last name now. Then use your comma, then the birth date. I don't need birth date. Let me just get the gender and then the yearly income of the customer. Yearly income of the customer. Okay, so the customer key, the first name, gender, and the yearly income of the customer. So let me select those ones first. So I highlight everything, or you don't need to highlight everything since we only have these 2 lines here in our query. So just execute the table. So now we have the 4 columns that we have here. We have the 4 columns here as well. So you can see the 4 columns here. So now where clause will now help you to filter for what you want to see in your table. For example, I want to see only the male gender in my table. That is now use where. So you type the where clause, where, then the gender, where gender here is equals to what, type equal to like this, and then use a single a single quote to wrap your male gender in. You can see the M here is for male. Then use a single quote to wrap the male, okay? Then where gender is equals to M means male, right? So you can see here, all data are going to be seen is going to be the male gender data. So the female have been removed for you, okay? So you have only the female gender here. You can see we have 50 male gender here, as you can see. You have only 50 male gender here, and you can also see, maybe if you want to see only the female gender as well, you can easily specify for female and then you're on. So you can see you have only female gender here. You have 49 female genders here, okay? Now if you want to see the yearly income, maybe want to filter based on yearly income. Okay, let's filter based on yearly income now. So here, change this gender to what? To yearly income. Change gender to yearly income. Now, what do you want to see? Where yearly income, because yearly income is a number and gender is like a text. So you don't need to like close your yearly income in a single quote now, okay? So now just type the yearly income straightforward, okay? So where yearly income is equal, let's check for 70,000 yearly income. So type 70,000. 70,000 is typed like this, right? Let's see where yearly income is equal to $70,000. You can see $70,000 yearly income earners. You can see them here. So we have both male and female earning $70,000 here. Let's see for others. Let me only select this and then so let's see for how many $1,000. Let's see for $6,000 yearly income earners now. So you can see $60,000 yearly income earner. This is the data set. So you can easily use this where clause to filter your data to what you want to see, okay? If I want to see that I earning $60,000 or more, I can easily see that one as well. So let me preview my data. Okay, let me see that I'm earning $60,000 or more. So that way you can say where. So select customer key, first name, gender, and yearly income from the dim customer table, where that is you now want to filter your data based on yearly income. So the yearly income now wants to be more than 60,000. So it's not going to be including 60,000. So more than 60, that is where yearly income is greater than 60,000. Greater than 60,000, like use the greater than, that is what we call comparison operator. The equal sign, less than sign, equal, greater than sign, equal to or less than sign, and then equal to or greater than sign are what we call comparison operators. Okay, so we have equal sign, less than, greater than, then we have less than or equal to, then we have greater than or equal to, then we have not operator. So this is how we call logic comparison operators. These are our comparison operators here, okay? So you can use any of them at all in your where clause, okay? So now where yearly income is greater than 60,000, so let's run this and see where it is greater than 60,000. So you can see yearly income greater than 60. So we are not going to be seeing anything less than $60,000 here. You can see nothing is less than $60,000 here. So you can also include the 60,000 itself. By including this, you mean greater than or equal to 60,000. That is either it is equal to 60,000 or it is higher than 60,000. So that's where you include the equal sign. So now see what we have. So now 60,000 has been included. You can now see $60,000 income earners here now, because then she include $60,000 there. You can see more of them and more. So you can also check for less than 60,000. Less than 60,000 income earners. Let's see those ones as well. So we have 20,000 here, and there are about 60 less than 60,000 income earners in our customers. Okay, these are the customers that are earning less than $60,000 monthly, yearly rather. Okay, so let's include the 60,000 now. That is, you see less than or equal to 60,000. Now let's see how many customers that are earning 60,000 or less. You can see we have 40,000 customers, 40 customers earning less than 60,000. Let's see how many customers are earning 60,000 or less. Now you have to execute this and see how many customers are earning 60,000 or less. Well, we have 56 customers earning $60,000 or less. Okay, that's how you use your where clause in SQL. So the next thing I'm going to be looking at today is what we call limiting in SQL. So limiting in SQL basically will allow you to limit the number of rows you want to be seeing in your query. And for example, now let me run this fact internet sales table and see how many rows we have in it. So here we have 99 rows in our fact internet sales table. Our fact sales table. So instead of us returning all 99 rows from our table, we can easily return, for example, your own table might have like millions of rows and you don't want to return all the millions of rows. I can easily limit the number of rows you want to return from your table. For example, I want to return only top 10 rows, right? I want to see only the number 1 to 10 rows for my table. So I can easily use limit, what we call top. So we call it top in SQL server, okay? You can easily use top to limit how many rows you see in your table. So now I'm going to be using the top from the top clause. Type the top and then top. What do you want? I want to see the top 10 of my table. The top 10 that I want to see the top 10 of everything from the fact internet sales table. It's going to return everything, all the columns, but only limit how many rows is going to be returning from that. Is I want to see only the top 10 rows and return all the columns. Okay, now let's execute this. You can see here we have limited our rows to only 10 now. So you can see you can even increase to any amount of rows you want to see, maybe like 30 rows you want to see. You can change, you can return any rows you want to see. That's how limiting works in SQL. So you can even limit, you can also use limit with any other function. For example, I want to see the limit top 30 of what. Now you select everything you want to see from here. Unit price. You can select each of the columns as well. Unit price, sales amount, sales territory. So let me return these three columns and I'll limit it to the top 10. So top 10 units price, I'll limit to the top 10 units price, sales amount and sales territory. So now I've limited it to how many? To top 10 sales amount, unit price and sales territory key. So this is how you use limits in SQL Server. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be looking at today is what we call our logical operators. So logical operators basically help us to compare two different arguments. If they are both true, we are going to return a specific values, and if they are both false, we are not going to return any values. So in our logical operators, so we have three different logical operators. So we have the AND operator, we have the OR operator and the NOT operator as our logical operators. And these three logical operators, they work hand in hand with our comparison operators. And we talked about comparison operator in our previous class. That is, we have the equal sign as our comparison operator, and we have less than, we have the greater than, we have the not equal to, and we have the less than or equal to. We have the greater than or equal to. Here there should be a space here. Okay, so these are our comparison operators, comp operators, and these are our logical operators, log operators. Okay, so these two operators actually works hand in hand in SQL. Okay, so if you want to use comparison operators, that means you must use two of these operators here. That is, you have one comparison operator and then you now use one logical operator, then you now use another comparison operator at the end. Now let me show us how it works. Okay, so all these operators are used to filter our table, that is our data, to what we want to see. For example, we want to see yearly income that is actually above 100, above 70,000, 70k, and then we want to see the occupation to be only professionals. Okay, that is, we want to see a customer that are earning above 100k that are also professional. You can see occupation here. So we have different occupations here that are only professional. So you can easily see your customers that are professional that are earning above 70k. So let's check that one first. So as usual, use where operator to filter your data. So I want to select these particular columns here from this dim customer where the occupation is equals to professional occupation, English occupation is equals to what? Professional. You can type the professional here, prof. 1FSSION L. Okay, is equals to professional, and you can now use another logical operator. Okay, no, we have 3 logical operators here, so I can use any of these 3 logical operators to combine the 2 comparison operators together. So you can now type the next and here, and then and the yearly income is greater than 70k. Okay, so you want to see a customer that are earning above 70k and are also professional. Okay, so now where yearly income is above 70k, 70,000. Okay, so this is going to return the occupation that is professionals customer that are earning above 70k also. Okay, so now let's see what we will be returned there. So let's highlight all this and then execute it, and then see, you can see here, so you can see all our professionals and all earn above 70k. You can see here yearly income here, they are all above 70k and they are all professionals. So this way you can easily combine multiple comparison operators, like multiple conditions using logical operator. Okay, so you can also use all here, that is they must be a professional customer and also earning or. Okay, if you want to use or logical operator like or, so this means that they must be a professional operator or they must also be a yearly income operator. So it's going to return all the professionals here, and it's going to also return all the people that are earning above 70k, either they are professional or they are not professional. Okay, so we are going to be having more tables here using, when you use all, that is, it's going to return all the professionals here, because these are not all the professionals, and it's going to return all the people that are earning above 70k for you. So now let's see what we have. Okay, is there any issue here? Okay, we didn't highlight what we want to execute. Okay, so now you can see here, so this one means all our professionals are going to be returned. So all the professionals are going to be returned, and again all the people that are, all the customers that are earning above 70k are also going to be returned. You can see here they are all above 70k, or if they are 70k and above, they will be a professional occupation. Okay, now let's see one that's below 70k. You can see here we have this one to be below 70k and it is a professional. It's either a professional or it is below 70k. It's going to return both of them for you. Okay, so you can see some are skilled and they're above 70k. These ones are professional and they are below 70k. You can see, so that is how our operator works. Okay, so you can also invert this one, that is, I want to see opposite of what I just got here. Now that is, here now I said they must be a professional or 70k and above, right? So I want to see that they must not be a professional and they must not be 70k and above. So that way I can easily invert this here using my not operator at the beginning of the whole query. You can execute this now and then we see what you get. So here now so not English operator is equals to so this means that it's just reverse all this thing that I all these queries I wrote here. Okay, that the occupation is not equals to professional or greater than 70k. You can see what we have here. So yearly income is 90k here. So now we have cleric here to be 30k. So that's like opposite of what we were requesting before. Okay, because now we have cleric here, even though it's not a professional, and it is even any below 70k, as you can see here. So this is how you invert any query that you write. Okay, so let me remove this last one so it won't be confusing as it is now. So let's remove this last one. So let's remove this as well. If I run this query now, it's going to return all the professional occupations, right? This will return all the professional occupations. So we have like 25 professional occupations as our customers. If I now invert this using not operator like this, so this is going to be returning all the occupations that are not professional. That is to return all the occupations except the professional occupations. Okay, now let's see what that's going to return. It's not going to include all the professional occupations for us now, as you can see here. So now we have 74 not including professional occupations. So that is how not operator works. So you can also combine all of them together. Let's combine more of our logical operators here. So this must be, let's do something else, clerical and let's use female, and gender must be equals to female. Gender must be equals to what? Female. That is F for female. Or you can also include or yearly income is above 100k. Yes, it's 100k. Or yearly income. Okay, type or here. Or yearly income is greater than 100k. Or you can also use equal to. But let's use is greater than 100k. Now let's run this and see what we have. Okay, you can see what we have now. We have a shorter table. So here we have so this is going to first of all execute this conditional or this conditional statements. So it's going to the occupation must be equals to clerical and general must be equals to female. And these two must always be together. You can see clericals here are all female. As you can see, all the clericals here are all female. Okay, and then it's not return this one. It's not include this last conditional operator to it, that is yearly income must be above 100k. Now we have the yearly income to be above 100k for the ones that are not either clerical or female. So you can see here this one is not clerical or female and they're above 100k. This is not clerical or female and they're above 100k as well. You can see this is above 100k, they're above 100k, above 100k. So that is either it is above 100k or they are both clerical and female customers. So I want to see all the clerical and female customers or the customers that are earning above 100k. Okay, so if I want to see customers that are not earning above 100k, I can easily invert this to see customers that are not earning above 100k. That is the ones that are earning below 100k. So I can easily invert this using the not operator to see my below 100k customers. As you can see how much they are earning, none of them is earning close to 100k. Okay, so that is how we use the logical operators in SQL. So the next thing I'm going to be looking at today is what we call the wildcard operators in SQL. Okay, the wildcard operators are also used in our where clause. So we use the wildcard operator to also filter our data based on what we want to see our table to return. Okay, so we have two different wildcard operators, and these two wildcard operators are what we use inside the like operator. Okay, so this like operator, so we use those two wildcard operators inside this like clause. So the operators are what we call the percentage, this is the wildcard, and then also the underscore. So these are the two wildcards that we have in SQL. Okay, maybe we have more. Okay, so you can also find that one out. So if you want to use the wildcard operator, so you have to start by typing the like, and then you can type your wildcard, anyone you want to use out of this wildcard operator. So let's take this one down. And as I said earlier, the wildcard operators are also used to filter our data based on what we want to see or what we want to return from our query. Okay, so you have to always start your filtering by typing what? By typing where. Okay, so now I want to see only. Okay, let me select yearly income as well here, so I can actually filter based on the yearly income. Now let me run this. Okay, so you can see our yearly income is here. Okay, so now I want to filter based on first name first. Okay, where first name starts with what? With J. I want to see where first name starts with J. So all the first names of our customers actually starts with J. So I can easily say where first name like, so you have to type like now, and then now you have to apply any wildcard you want to use. Either you want to use this wildcard or you want to use this wildcard. Okay, so I will show you how the two of them works. Okay, so the first one is actually the percentage operator, which is what, like the wildcard percentage operator. So that one you have to type it inside this single quote, then type a percentage like this. Okay, now I want to see where all our customers first name actually starts with J. So now you have to type your J before the percentage, that is J like this. So this means our customer's name starts with J and it can continue or end in anywhere possible. Okay, so this percentage here means anything possibly can be in front of the J. You can have multiple characters in front of the J. You can have like 10, 20, 1, 2 characters in front of the J, as many as you can have. So if you run this now, it's going to see all the names that starts with J. So you can see where first name, look at the first name here, the ones that start with J, you can see all these first name actually starts with J, as you can see here. Okay, so So now even if you want to add another one, you can also add another one where first name also ends with let's say E. That is, first name must start with J and also end with E. So you can also do that one as well by applying what we call our logical operator into the wildcard operator. So you can say first name also ends with what? Also ends, not first value, first name. First name, like, again, then your single quotes. Then you say it ends with E, right? So now put the percentage before the E. That is, as many characters can be before the E, and then but E must always be the last character in our wildcard. Okay. So if I run this now, it's going to return all the first name that start with J and then also ends with E. Now let's see what we have here. You can see here all the first names here starts with J, also ends in E. Okay, that's how the like operator combined with the percentage actually works. Okay, you can also look for all the first names that actually that has as many things in the beginning but must always contain A in the middle. Okay, small letter A must always be in the middle. As you can see here, that is, it might contain as many characters as possible in the beginning of the first name, also as many as possible in the end of the first name, but it must always contains A in the middle. Now let's run this one and see what we have. You can see all the first names here actually contains A in one place or another. You can see here this Elizabeth contains A, Janice contains A, Marco contains A. You can see all the ones that actually contains A here. You can see we have A here, A. So all the ones that contains A. So this means you return all the first names that contains A. Either it's in the middle, the beginning, or the end. I don't care. Just return all the first names that contains A. So if I remove this one now, it's going to be all the first names that begins with A. They must always begins with A. So you can see this one now. It does not begin with A. But if I remove the first percentage, you're going to return only the first names that begins with A. Now let me run this. Select and then execute. So you can see the first names that begins with A. Now I can see all this one starts with A. So if I remove this last one and then add the first one again and then remove the last one like this. So this one means all the first names that ends with A. It might begins with any other letter, I don't care, but it must always ends with A. So that's what this one means. So you can see here all the first name here ends with A, as you can see here, and that is how like operator basically works. So we have another wildcard here, which is what we call the underscore wildcard. So if I want to use this now, so this one means that, okay, for example, let me use another thing. Okay, I want to see all the ones that start with J. Okay, so I want to see all the names that start with J. I can put the percentage like this and I'll see all the names that start with J, right? Now let's execute this. So all these names here starts with J, right? So I want to see all the names that start with J, but after J it has O, like JO. Then you can have another thing after JO, anything as possible after JO. Let's run this and I'll see what we have here. So you can see we have three names that start with J, O, and then can have as many characters as possible after the O. As you can see, this one has about 4 characters after the O. This one has only 1 after the O. Now, if you want to replace this percentage with this underscore, now this underscore means only one character, but this percentage means as many characters as possible. Okay, so this underscore means there is only one character after JO. So this one will return only the first names that contain JO and other one character. Okay, so I run this one. It's not going to return Jordan. It's going to return only John and John. Let's run this and see. You can see only John and John going to be, because it's requesting for only one character after the JO. Then you can have JON or JO whatever you want to have. Okay, so if I want to get others that start with J, but they're also 3 letters, okay, all the 3 letter names that start with J, then I can actually put one more underscore, so make it 2 underscores. That is, it must start with J and then other 2 characters in it. Now let's run this and see what we have. Okay, we still have that like that. So let's see for 3 characters that it must only start with J. Let me delete this. It must only start with J, and then we can have other 3 characters after it. Okay, now let's put 3 underscore for the 3 extra characters. So 1, 2, 3 underscores. Now let's run this and see what we have. Okay, we have Jill. So Jill starts with J with other 3 characters, as you can see here. So this underscore basically means a specific number of characters that you want, but this percentage means as many characters as possible. Okay, so I change this to percentage. Let's combine the both. Let's see what we have now. Okay, so we have as many as possible. So this means it must always start with J. You can see that's the first thing here. It must always start with J, and then there must be 1 character after that, and then as many characters as possible after that. So even if we remove this underscore, we're still going to be getting the same thing. Let's see how many queries we returned here. 15 queries. Let's see what we have when we remove the underscore. You can see we still have the 15. It doesn't really matter. If we remove this percentage and then put only underscore, we are not going to be getting anything, because there is no first name that starts with J and 1 other character. That is, there is no 2 letter words name here. Okay, but if I put 1 more, now you are going to be having 3 letter words that start with J. You can see here. That's how you use the like operator, combining with the percentage operator, and then the underscore operator for your wildcard operators. Okay, you can also use this one to get all the best dates that all the people were actually born in the 1962. So I want to see all my customers that were giving birth in the 1962. So I can easily change this where, that is, now we have the best date here. Then instead of me having this J, I will now have the year 1962 here, and then you can see here, because in this 1962 here, after the 1962 is the year, right? Then 12 is the month, then 23 is the day. So after 1962, then I'll put the hyphen that is here, and then for this 12, I will now put 2 underscore for the 12. So I put 2 underscore because I don't want to see the month. I only want to see the year 1962. And then for these days, that is 3 days, I will now put 2 underscore for that one as well. I will have to put this hyphen between the month and the days. So I'll now put 2 hyphen, 2 underscore like this for the days as well. So if I run this, so I'm going to be seeing my customers that were giving birth in the 1962. So you can see all my 1962 customers are actually here, as you can see it here, 1962, 1962. So all these are all the customers that were giving birth in the 1962. No matter, I don't care if they are giving birth in the December, July, August, but they must be the year 1962. You can also filter for month as well. Okay, for all the customers that were giving birth to in the January, the month of January, because I was giving birth to in the January as well. So I want to see my birth month, my birth month. Okay, so I can easily exchange this one for underscore as well. That's, I will use wildcard for this year as well, because we have how many characters here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to be using the 4 underscores now. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the year. And then for this month, you can see month is the next one, right? So the month is going to be 01. That is, the 01 means January. All my customers that were giving birth in January, I want to see all my customers that will be giving birth in January now. So I can easily on this one and see all my January customers. So you can see all the January customers here, they were giving birth to in January. Okay, I was giving birth to in January 7. I can even specify all the January 7 customers as well, because my date of birth is January 7. So I can specify January 7 date as well. So I can see my birth month. Oh, I don't have a birth month. Okay, so January, let's say January 2. Okay, no January. Let's see other things we have in January. Underscore. Execute. So this is how you also filter for a date. Okay, so you can filter for anything at all, anything you want to see at all. Okay, you can also even combine like this. I want to see all the male that are giving birth to in January. Okay, I want to see only the male customers that were giving birth to in January. I don't want to see the female. I just want to ignore the female and then see only the male customers that are giving birth to in January. So, and the gender equals, yeah, you can use equals now, or you can use anything. You can either use like or equals. Okay, so gender equals what? Equals male. Okay, now let's run this and see what we have. So you can see all the male gender that are giving birth to in January, right? So you can see all this is in January and all these are male. Okay, so that is how you use that. You can also use like operator here. So like let's see if this work. So you see it still works. Either instead of you using equal sign, you can also use like let's see the female ones, the female January. So you can see we have 4 female that were given birth to in January, and we have about 5 or so male that were given birth to in January. So that's how you use the like operator, combine multiple like operators, as many as you want. Okay, you can even use or as well, combine more logical operators with this, or you can even invert this. Okay, I want to see other customers apart from this customer that I'm seeing here. So just put your not operator here to invert this whole thing. So it's going to return all the customers that were given birth to in other months except January and the female gender. Okay, so it's going to return other things except from these 4 things I'm seeing. So I should be seeing about 96 or 95 queries returned like that. So let's check how many queries. Okay, 45. That is 9 all the January. Okay, it's ignored all the January, and then it's returning all the female. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is the between operator and the where clause. Okay, so in the where clause, basically you can use different operators in the where clause. You can use in operator, between operator, like operator, and other different operators I'm going to be discussing later. Okay, so in this class I'm going to be looking at how to use between operator to filter your data in SQL. Okay, so to start using between operator, you start by typing your where clause again. Okay, so where. Okay, so if you now want to use between operator, that is, between operator is used to select a value between 2 different values. You can see, okay, for example, I want to select all the income earners that are earning between $60,000 and $90,000. Then I will now ignore every other income earners, like the ones that are earning 70. 70 is also part of the between 60,000 and 90,000. So all the ones that are earning less than 60,000 are not going to be included, or the ones that are earning above 90,000 are not going to be included. So I want to get only my customers that are earning 60,000 and between 60,000 and 90,000 alone. I will now ignore every other customers. Okay, so you start using that. You have to type your where clause and then type yearly income. That is where the yearly income between. Now type your between. Where yearly income between. Okay, now specify your first value. The first value is going to be what? 60,000, and you use your and then 90,000. You can see 90,000 here. So now let's see what we have. You can see all our table is being returned, 99 different tables here and different data here. So now let's see what we have when we select only the yearly income between 60,000 and the 90,000 for customers. Now let's see what we have. So you can see now we have less tables now. So we have about 50 customers that are earning between 60,000 and 90,000. Okay, so you filtered it down to only our customers that are earning $60,000 and $90,000 yearly. Okay, so you can see we have 50 of them between 60,000 income earners and 90,000 income earners. So this is how you use between. Or if you also want to see, we can also increase your the range. That is, I want to see between $40,000 and $100,000. So let's see what we have. We are going to have more customers, right? So that is, earlier it was 50 customers. Now let's see what we have. Now we have 69 customers earning between $40,000 and $100,000. Okay, so if you also want to exclude some values in your table, okay, you want to exclude some values. For example, I don't want to select all the values between 40,000 and 100,000. I want to ignore all the customers that are earning between 40K and 100K yearly. So I can easily invert this one by putting not at the beginning of it. I can easily invert between and by putting not before the between operator. Okay, so I can easily put not as this is going to return all the customers that are not earning in this range. Okay, all the customers that their earnings are not in this range is going to return other customers that it will ignore all the customers that are earning between 40K and 100K yearly. So if I run this one, it's going to like select other customers apart from the ones we have here. You know, we have about 100 customers. Then we are going to be having about 30 something customers that are earning not between 40k and 100k yearly. Now let's run this and see what we have. So you can see we have only 30 customers that are not earning between these two range. Okay, so you can easily use not between to invert between, that is, you want to get opposites of what we have here. If you want to get opposite of what you have here, then just use the not before the between operator. Okay, that is, get the inverse of what we have here. The next thing you're going to be looking at is what we call the in operator in SQL. The in operator allows us to specify more values inside the bracket that we want to get. Okay, the in operator is like a filter in SQL that helps us to get a value that we can specify by ourselves. That is, okay, I want to get these values, let me to get it. Okay, use the in operator to specify the values that you want to get from our table. So to use the in operator, start by typing your where clause. So where, okay, I can start by typing the gender now. Okay, where gender in, so where gender, type gender, select gender here. So where gender, then in, then you specify all the things that you want from the gender. So where gender in what? Where gender in M is for male or male. Okay, so this means that, okay, put the male in the male inside a single quote like this. Specify male inside single, that is where our gender is in is a male. Okay, all our male gender is going to be returned for us. Instead of me just writing equal sign, you can easily use in. You can see before we use the equal sign to select all the male gender, but now we are using in because you can even use in to specify more. Okay, if you want to select both male, as I have like 3 or 4 genders now, and I want to get only the 2 of those genders, I can really specify here. Okay, only male and F for female. Male and female. So if I run this now, it's going to return both male and female for me, normal. And if I want to get only the male gender, just remove the female there and then execute this. We are going to be getting only the male gender. If I want to get only the female gender using the in operator, I can easily execute this and then get only the female gender. You can also use the in operator for our yearly income or the customer key or the first names. Okay, let's use this for our yearly income to filter our yearly income. Now let's specify yearly income here. Yearly income, where yearly income in, then open your brackets. Inside the bracket, you now specify all the yearly income you want to return. Okay, all the yearly income you want to return. So you can specify as many yearly incomes as you want inside our brackets now. So the first yearly income, I want to get all the yearly income that are 20,000, all the 20,000 yearly income. So specify 20,000 here. Then comma, the next yearly income you want to get is what? Let me say 10,000 yearly income. People that are earning 10k per yearly, 10k yearly income earner. Then the next one is, let me get 30k yearly income earner as well. And don't let me make them so close. Let me get something higher. Let me get 70k yearly income earner as well. So you can see I've specified 3 yearly income earners here. I can easily get all this yearly income earner, like all my customers that are earning all these 3 yearly incomes here. They're going to be returned for me. Okay, a return means executed and then give me the table of the customers that are earning this 3 yearly income in yearly. So you can see them here. So the first one is 70, 70, 70, and you can see there is nothing that is not here that is here. So everything here is here, right? So there's nothing like you can see 20k yearly income earner is here, and on 10k yearly income earner is here, and then you have our 70k yearly income earner here. Okay, that's how you use in. Okay, you can also invert the in operator by using not in again. Okay, that is, just put not in front of the in like this. That is this is going to return every other thing that is not in 20k, 10k, and 70k. So it will return every other thing apart from these things we specified in this bracket. That is how not in work. That is the opposite of what we got. It's what is going to give to us now. That is not in this bracket. So every other thing apart from these things inside this bracket is going to be returned for us. Now let's run this, execute. So you can see I'm going to be seeing 20k yearly income earner here. You're not going to be seeing 10k or 70k yearly income earner here because we said not in this query. Okay, that is how you use it for numbers. Now you can also use it for our customer keys or first name. Okay, so I want to get all the first name that are all our customers with the first name. So now let's remove this yearly income and then use our first name. So all our customers that are what? First name in open brackets here. Now you put this one in a single quote. All our first name that are what? John, Jon. Then use your comma to separate the two, separate them. Then here, all our customers that are Rob, then separate them by comma. All our customers that are what? Luke. Let's get only those 3 customers. Luke. Now, if you run this now, it's going to get us all the first names of our customers that are John, Rob, and Luke. Now, let's run this and see what we have. So you can see John. So we have 2 Johns here, and 1 Luke and 1 Rob. So these are our customers that are bearing these first names. Okay, so if you want to get other customers that are not bearing these first names, so you can easily get other customers that are not bearing these first names by just putting not in front of our in operator here. So not in John, Rob, or Luke. That is the first names that are not John, Rob, or Luke. So get us other first name apart from this John, Rob, or Luke. Now let's run this and see what we have. You're not going to be seeing the first name John, Rob, or Luke in all this. I think I saw one. Okay, I saw Lucas, not Luke. Okay, so that is how you use in operator in SQL. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is what we call alias in SQL. Okay, now when I was selecting my columns from our table, now let me return all the tables again. Let me return every data in our dream customer table. That you use your asterisk means or select everything from our dream customer table. Let's execute this. So you can see everything is being selected from us, from our customer table now. So I want to rename some of these column data because I don't like the way they look. For example, this English education and English occupation, it looks somehow to me. They don't really look that nice to me. So I will have to select them one by one and then rename them one by one. Okay, I want to give space to all the names as well. That is, I want them to be a compound name. Like this customer key is going to be, there is going to be a space between customer and key, a space between geography and key, a space between first and name. So I'll give them a space. Okay, so I will select the first thing here. Is I can even rearrange them. Okay, if I want to be their name to be the first thing here, I'll just select the first name first. The first, I said there will be a space between first and name. So now this is where alias comes in. Now I will have to use alias to rename this first name. Okay, so use alias. Alias is being used by what? By using as. Just type your as in front of your column name and then give it the new name you want it to be bearing. So the name is going to be the first name with a space. The first name with a space as first name. Now, because it's a compound name, it's not going to be allowed to use 2 different names to name one thing. Now, you have to enclose this in a square bracket or in a double quote. Okay, enclose this in a square bracket like this. You can see now we have one. Yeah, now SQL is seeing these 2 names as one name because we enclose in a square bracket. Okay, now this thing is being seen as a one name. You can also use a double quote to enclose this as well. SQL will be seeing it as one. You can see SQL is seeing it as one now. Okay, the error is not showing. Now let's execute this one and see what we have. Let's execute. So you can see we are selecting only one thing, but now instead of us having the first and the name together, now we are having it separately like this. You can see the header name now, the column header name is now first space name. Okay, but I prefer using square bracket. I don't like using double quotes. I prefer using square bracket. Okay, so this is the first thing I want to select here, right? So the next thing I want to select is the English occupation. Use your comma. First name, let me select the gender. Let me give it a space. Select gender. Then comma. Gender is okay as it is. I don't want to rename gender. Then English occupation. Education. You can select them anyhow you want them. Then this English of education is going to be, I only want it to be education or qualification. Okay, let me just give it called education and remove English from it. So now I can easily type English alone without using as. That is how flexible SQL Server is. You can just type English alone. You don't have to input as. This will still work the same way. And either I type as a lowercase or uppercase or sentence case, doesn't really matter. SQL is not case sensitive, okay? So you can easily use as this. You can use it like this, or you can even use it as lowercase and uppercase like this. It will still work perfectly for you. You can even remove the as entirely, then you are still going to get your result. And I can see this English name and English education is being renamed to what? Only English. You can see we have only English here as, education, not English. Let's use only education. Education. And I can see our education here is bachelor and all the qualification of our customers. Let's get marital status as well. So comma marital status. So this marital status also does not have a space between the marital and the status. So now let's give it a space. So let's give it a marital status as it is. Don't let us rename it. Let's just remove marital, not maritus. So marital status, the status, there will be a space between the status now, as you can see here. So in this here again, and because we have two names for one thing, so SQL is going to flag an error, as you can see it here now. So it's not correct this one. You have to enclose this in either in a double quote or in a square bracket like this. I prefer a square bracket, as I said earlier. So I'll be using a square bracket now. So now let's execute this. So you can see marital status has been changed to give a space between the marital and the status. So this is how you use alias in SQL. The next thing we're going to be looking at today is what we call the case clause in SQL. Okay, so the case is basically like when we have if and ifs in Excel or if and ifs in our DAX Power BI. Okay, so the case is basically like if in Excel. Okay, so if you want to categorize some values based on a specific condition, so you can easily use case to categorize the values based on the condition I want to specify. Okay, so you can easily use if to categorize people's age or people's gender or people's anything you want to categorize at all. So you can easily use case as well as categorize those things in SQL. So there is no if in SQL Server. We only have case in SQL Server to categorize anything you want to categorize. Okay, so I'll be showing you how case works now. So let's run this one and see what we have here. So here we have the gender, the customer key here, the first name, gender, and the yearly income here. So now first I want to have another column entirely here. I want to keep another column here. That is, I will now have 5 columns. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a new column make it 5 columns now. And the new column is going to be the categorization of this gender. I want to convert this gender. Instead of me having a M for male, I want to type the male info. Okay, so anywhere I see M, I'm going to be replacing this word with male, M-A-L-E. Anywhere I see F, I'm going to be replacing this word with female. Okay, so that way you only use case to categorize the genders like that. So the next thing you do is use your comma to now select another column entirely. That is the comma. The next column here is not going. I can easily select another column here, like maybe last name, and add last name column to this place. And if I execute this now, it's going to add another column here for me as last name column, right? You can see last name column here. But now instead of me having last name column here, I want to have the case column here. That is, anywhere I see M, it's going to be male here, M will be male here, M will be male here, and F is going to be the female here, F will be female here, M will be male here, F will be female here. Okay, so I'll categorize this one using case statements in SQL. So what you do is you type case like this. Instead of you having the name of the column, then you type case like this. So case when what? So case when gender. Let me do everything in one column like this. So but after I will now do it in separate column. So case when gender, select your gender like this. When gender equals, or when gender is equals to male, M, then case when gender is equals to M, then what? Then I want to have it to be what? To be male. Then when gender again. I know this is not that smooth. Okay, I'm going to do it again. When gender equals to female, F. then female. Okay, and then you always end your, don't forget to always end your case. Okay, so when I end my case now and then I run this, you can see here it's going to return the male for M, then female for F. You can see female for F, male for M, female for F. So it is really like for all my data to the end of, you can see F is for female, M is for male. That is how you use case in SQL, but this is not smooth like that. So we are going to take this to a new column entirely, to a new row entirely rather. Okay, so you can see here, this is like our case in a new row. You press enter to enter a new row. So case when gender is equals to M, yeah, this is fine. Then male, then case when gender is equals to F, then female. So this is advisable to be here like this. Okay, so you can see this is neat enough. So now when gender is equal to M, then you have male. When gender is equal to F, then you have female. Then end case. Now our column does not have column header, so you can now easily give it a column header with what we call alias. If you don't know what alias is, you can watch the video again on alias. Okay, so we give it an alias. Either I type as like this and then type the name of the column next. Okay, you can type anything at all. Let's say full gender. Let me just give it full gender. Okay, now let's execute this as full gender. What's the issue? This is supposed to work. Yes, full gender. So you can see full gender. So if I now want to have this full and gender in separate, I don't want to have them together. Okay, you can easily put a space there. Then on this, it's not going to work. Now you have to like enclose this in a square bracket like this. Like this. Now it's going to work, and to give space between full and gender, as you can see here. So this is how we use case in SQL. You can also do for this yearly income as well. Okay, let me say I have my yearly income here. You can see 90, 60. We have 30, 20. We have 100, 70, 80, and 60. Okay, so I want to categorize it. Okay, if you are earning below $30K a year, that means you are a low income earner. If you are earning between 30K and 70K in a year, that means you are a medium income earner. If you are earning about 70K in a year, that means you are a high income earner. Okay, so you can easily use that one as well to add another column here. So if you are earning 90K, that means you are a high income earner. If you are earning 60K, that means you are medium. If you are earning 70K, you are medium. If you are earning 30K, you are low. If you are earning anything below 30K, then you are low. Okay, so you can also do that one as well. So that means you have to add another column. Use your comma after you type your gender, then use your comma, then again next column and next row again, then type your case. So case when now we are dealing with yearly income. When yearly income is less than 30K, right? If it is less than 30K, if your yearly income is less than 30K, then less than 30K, then you are a low income earner. Then you're a low income earner. Okay, then just type low. Okay, you can notice that in this 30K here, we do not enclose 30K in a single quote. Okay, that's because 30K is not a string. 30K is a number, but this M is a string, F is a string, male is a string, low is a string, but 30K is a number. That's why it is don't have to enclose number in a single quote or double quote at all. You don't need it. So this is case when yearly income is less than 30K. Okay, another one, you can also copy this, Control C, and then paste it here. So when yearly income is what is less than 70K, is less than or equal to 70K, then we have medium income earner. Then also paste the same thing you copied earlier, Control V. Then if it is above 70K, if it is below 70K, then change it to 70K, then you're a high income earner. You're a high income earner, and then don't always forget to end your case. If I don't end my case, I'm going to be getting an error. Let's see what we have. You can see error is here, but now let's end the case and execute again. Now we have a normal thing, but now we have to give our income a name here. Let's give it income bracket. as what income. Here I use as here. You don't need to use as here. You might choose to use as or just ignore as. Okay, so income brackets now. Income brackets. Okay, let's execute this. We get an error, but then let's enclose this one in a square bracket or in a double quote. Double quote also works. Anyone you choose, so will still work. You can see. So you can see income bracket here. You can see the high income is 90k, 60 is medium, 60 is medium, 70 is medium, 80 is high, 70 is medium. So you can, let's go to 30 and you can see 100k. Is it 10k? Yeah, 10k is actually low, 20k is low, 20k is low. You can see that's how you use case in SQL. You can also use case to categorize your age. Maybe somebody is old or young or an adult, so you can also use it to categorize an age or anything at all you want to categorize. The next thing we'll be looking at today is what we call the group by the group by clause in SQL. Okay, the group by clause is basically used to categorize data based on the same value they have. For example, now if you have like different gender, we have two genders, like legally or whatever they got it. So you have two genders. You have the male gender and the female gender. Okay, so you want to, maybe the female gender actually made certain sales and then the female gender actually made certain sales. So you want to combine how much did all the female gender actually made, how much they made all together, and how much male gender actually made all together. So you can easily use that one as well. Let me include gender here. Gender. Then let's execute this. So you can see all this male gender here and the yearly income here. So we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like plenty male genders here, and we have plenty female genders here as well. So I want to see how much they all made together, like all together, all the male genders here, how much was their yearly income, and all the female gender, how much was their yearly income. So I can easily use group by, call this group by operator in SQL, capital letter. Group by operator. So if you use this group by gender, then it's going to group all the gender for you, and then how much they made on as their yearly income. Okay, so we can say group by gender. Okay, but now you have to, if you want to use group by in SQL, you have to always use it with what we call the aggregation functions. Okay, now aggregation functions, we have the sum function, the average function, the main function, max, count. That's all the aggregate function that we have. So if you want to use any group by at all, you also always combine your group by with all those aggregation functions. Okay, for example, I want to find the gender, group by gender, and then the yearly income. So I'll group this yearly income using any of the aggregation functions. For you to use the aggregation functions, you have to always enclose what you want to use them on inside a bracket. For example, I want to use the sum to sum up all the yearly income here. So you have to always have your yearly income inside a bracket and then use your sum to be, as I can see, the color of the sum is different from other color. Okay, that shows it is an aggregation functions. Okay, so if you run this now, it's going to like combine all the male gender yearly income for you and sum them all together, and sum all the female yearly income as well all together, and then show you the result of what you have. Let's execute this and see what we have. So you can see here, you can see F and M, that is F for female and M for male. So you can see the sum of all their yearly income here, and then for male, this is sum of their yearly income, even though we have the same yearly income for both genders. Okay, you can also count the average yearly income as well for this sum. Okay, now I talked about alias in our previous class. Okay, that is, alias is like a way of you naming your column. For example, this column, you can see no column name. If I want to give this column a name, I can easily use alias to give it a name. So let me just give it a name, sum. Then I want to see the average yearly income of our customers as well. So I enclose it in a bracket and then use yearly income. You can see average yearly income as well. Let's give it a name as well, average AVG. Let's execute this and see what we have. So you can see the sum of total male and female, and this is the average yearly income of the female and average yearly income of the male. Oh, this looks bigger than male. Is that possible? Let's see how many male and how many female we have. That will determine the average. That will actually affect the average. That is the number of female and number of male that we have. We determine the average yearly income, right? So let's say average yearly income for, let's see how many number of male and female that we have. So we can just say count of yearly income. So just use count. then the same yearly income, and the name as what, as counts. Let's execute this. So you can see, okay, now we have 50 male and 49 female, and that's why the average yearly income is actually higher than that of male. Okay, so now you can see the reason why this is higher. Okay, so now let's do the same thing for English employed, English occupation. Let's see the occupation as maybe actually really matters. Yearly income by occupation. So now let's change this one to occupation. English occupation. Let's secure this. So now I can see the clerical actually earned more. Okay, you don't even know who is earning more or who is earning less. Okay, that way you have what we call the order by, to know who is earning more or who is earning less. Okay, so now if you want to order by, you order by what? By sum, to know which of these occupations is actually earning higher money and which one is earning lower money. Okay, so use order by in SQL. Order by the sum, because I want to order it by this particular column here. So you order it by this one, that is, you can order by from the highest to the lowest, or from the lowest to the highest, any one of your choice. So order it by what? By the sum. So just execute this. You can see the sum is now from top to the, that is highest to the lowest, no, lowest to the highest. Now you can, after you do this, you can just do ascending order, ASC, ascending order, descending order. Let's see descending order. Okay, so descending order, okay, that means, okay, if you choose ascending order, ascending order means you're actually counting from the lowest to the highest. But if you choose descending order, means from the highest to the lowest. So you want to order the sum of this from the highest to the lowest. That is, I will see the highest sum from the I will see the highest sum on the top, and then the lowest will be at the bottom. Okay, so you can see who is earning more now. Okay, you can see here we have the skilled manual. Actually, they are skilled manual. They are earning $2.4 million, and professionals are earning $1.7 million. $1.7 million, and then the management are earning 1.3, and then the clerical are earning 360k. Okay, as you can see here, and you can see the average as well. You can also order it by the average by just changing this sum here to the average. If you have to see the average, the highest average salary as well. So the highest average salary is actually the management is earning the highest average salary with how many? With 100k or above, and professional is earning 70k averagely, and skilled manual are earning 550k averagely. Clerical is earning 25k averagely. So you can also sort it by what? By their count. That is, you see the highest number of each of them that we have. Now let's see the highest number we have. So the highest number of the professions are actually skilled as 48. We have 48 skilled customers, and we have 25 professional customers, and we have 14 clerical customers, and we have 12 management customers, as you can see here. So the highest is actually skilled manual. Okay, so if you want to see maybe a particular one that you want to see, okay, maybe for example I want to see only clerical. Okay, I want to see only clerical professional, and then that way you just use having instead of you are using where. Okay, before we used to use where occupation, English occupation. I won't even say because there is no where there. So let me use having first. Having English occupation. Let me just copy it here. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Having English occupation equals clerical. Okay, this is another thing. Okay, when you are writing your SQL query, the first thing you write is what? The first thing you write is the select. The next thing you write is what? Is the table you want to select from, which is what? The named customer table. And the next thing is what? Is to group by. After you group by, then the next thing is what? Is this having before the order by. That is the order of SQL query execution. Okay, so after this group by, then you having, then you order it by anything you want to order it by. Okay, so I want to return only the clerical staff now. So execute this, then you can see only the clerical. Instead of me using where in SQL, where we know it's not going to work here. where is not going to work here because don't use where for group by, you only use having for group by. But if you are using another thing, then you can use where here, but for group by you only use having. If you run this, it's not going to work. You can see it's not going to work. Level 15 stage 1 states 1 line 7 that's near the keyword where. You don't have where in for group by in SQL. So if change this now, it's going to work perfectly now. So you can see you can even change to another thing you want to see. Skilled manual, let's see. I hope it is spelled like this. Yes, you can see skilled manual as well. So you can use this to filter for anything you want to see at all. So this is how you use the group by, having, and order by in SQL. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be looking at today is what we call the joins in SQL. So we call something joins in SQL. So we have different types of join. We have the inner join, the left join, the right join, the full outer join. Okay, so these joins are what we use to combine multiple tables into a one single table. Okay, for example, maybe you have like fact table. Fact table is like a table that contains more data about the business, or you have the dream customer table. A dream customer table is a table that contains the details about the customer itself, and then we have the product table. The product table contains details about the product itself. Okay, and you have these different tables. I want to join on these tables to make them only one table. So you can easily select a column from this product table and a column from this customer table, and also a column from this fact table. Then you can easily select the column from there and you have them as one query. Okay, so I'll show you how to do joins today. I'm going to be starting with what we call the inner joins in SQL. Okay, so basically inner joins basically combine what we have in one table and another table, and then return what is common to both table. Okay, now let's start talking and then dive into the working. Okay, let me select the two tables now. First of all, so I'm going to be using this dream customer table and also this facts table here to show us an example. So let's select everything from the dream customer table here, and also Ctrl A and C, paste here, and everything also from the facts table, this facts table here. Now let's run this and see what we have. So you can see what we have in both tables. So you can see this first table here, what we call the customer table. It has only 8 rows alone. With them, we have how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns in our new customer table. Then for the fact table, we have how many rows here? You can just drag this down to see how many rows we have in our fact table. So we have 14 rows in our fact table, as you can see it here. And then we have how many columns here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns in our facts table. So now I want to join these two tables, because if I select something from this first table and from this second table, I'm not going to be getting the accurate results. For example, now let me select a column from this first table. Let me select the first name from this first table. First, not first, first. Select first name from this customer table. You can see the first name here, and I would like to select the sales amount from this fact internet sales table as well. For this fact table sales, I'll select the sales amount from this table now, so comma here, and then select the sales amount here. You won't even see the sales amount, so let me just type it in full. Sales amount, capital A, amounts. Okay, only amount. Okay, so we have the sales amount here and we have the first name here. Now let me execute only this first query here and see what we have. Execute only this first query here. Now it's not going to execute because these two tables are not together. So you can see the invalid column name sales amount. That means this sales amount is not in this particular table. This sales amount is in this table. So if you want to get anything from this table to join it to the first table here, then you have to use what we call joins in SQL. So that we can easily select one column from one table and another column from another table. Now join the two columns together and then do your analysis accurately from both tables. Okay, and that's where joins comes in. Okay, so now I've selected this select first name and sales amount from this dream customer name. If I want to join this second table to it, now just type what we call join. Type join here, then join what? I want to join this particular table here to this first table here. Okay, so just type join join facts table, type the facts table, the second fact table here, then come down, then type on what do you want to join them on. Okay, so that's like what we add here. Let me show us the two tables again. Execute these two queries. Okay, you can see these two queries here. This first one is what we call the fact table. Okay, I have the same table here. My bad. Gym customer. Let me execute this again. So I like the one you want to execute and execute it like this. So these two tables here, the first table is what we call the fact table. This is the first table here, and the second table is what we call the gym customer table. Okay, so this fact table actually contains some things that you might be noticing. The first one is the product key. That is, the product key is here. Also have the product key in our gym products table, and we have the customer key here, and we have other things here as well. Okay, so you know what, I'm going to be selecting this gym customer table first. Let me change this one, Control X here and Control V here, Control X here and Control V here. So I want to have the customer table first before the gym products table. Okay, so now you can see the customer table here. The customer table is the first table now, and then our fact table is the second table now. Okay, so in this customer table here, this first table here, we have the customer key here. So the customer key in this customer table is what we call the primary key, and the customer key in this second table, which is the fact table, is what we call the secondary key. So this primary key is like a unique key that identifies each rows in our dim customer table. So this customer key here is a unique key that identifies each rows in our dim customer table. Okay, but this customer table here is not a unique key. It might be unique here, but it is not actually a unique key. So this dim customer key here is what we call the foreign key in this fact table key. Okay, in this facts table. Okay, so this customer key here is what we call a foreign key, but the customer key here is a primary key. Okay, so what we now do in joins is that we now join the primary key to the to the foreign key in another table. So for you to be able to join the two tables together, so you have to join the primary key here to the foreign key here for you to join the two tables together. So to now achieve that one, now I have to go back to our query. Let's drag this down a little bit and then go back to our main query. So here I want to join the facts table to the dim customer table on which column? I want to join them on the customer key columns. Okay, so on type your customer key. You can see the customer key here. Select it, equals customer key. Select it as well. Okay, so now we have two customer keys here. Now the customer key from this dim customer table and the customer key from the facts table. So now I have to specify the table that each of these keys are coming, because they have the same name. So specify the table they are both coming from. This first one is coming from what? From the dim customer table. So select dim customer table here. I can just copy this and paste it. Control C, then paste it in front of this, Control V, and then put dots here. And then for this fact table as well, copy it, Control C, Control V, and then put full stop there. So now we have this customer key is coming from where? It's coming from the dim customer table, and this customer key is coming from the facts internet table. So now you join the two tables together on the customer key, on their customer keys. Okay, the customer key here is what we call the primary key. This customer key is a primary key, and this customer key is a foreign key. Okay, so if you now execute this particular query, now you've joined the two together. Now you can select the sales amount from this and then the first name from that table, so that this sales amount here, this first name is from this customer table, and then this sales amount is from the what? Is from the facts table. So I can now even, okay, assuming we have multiple things here, let me select their gender as well. Let me select gender as well. Then execute this particular query here. Okay, now you have the gender now. So I can even see the sales amounts based on gender. So I can easily group by. I will group by the sales amounts based on, even though the gender is from the customer table and the sales amount is from the facts table. Okay, so I can easily group by the gender. So for it to do group by as we did in our previous class, so just close this in a bracket and close in and then remove this first name now, and then I would like to group by gender. there's no gender. Okay, not gender. Then group by gender. Let's execute and see what we have. You can see now, you can easily see the total sales amount of female and total sales amount of male. Okay, but this is not what we're dealing with today. What we're dealing with today is what we call the inner joins in SQL. So basically, we have different types of joins, right? So we have the inner join, we have the outer join, full outer join, and we have the left join, and lastly, we have the right join. Okay, so we are going to be dealing with the inner join in this class. So the inner join is basically the same thing as what we call the joins in SQL. Okay, joins is the same thing as inner join. Okay, joins is the same thing as inner join. Let's remove this and this as well. Now let's execute it. So joins is the same thing as inner join. Let me select everything from both tables so I can show you an example. Execute. Okay, so you can see it has already joined the two tables now, so you can see everything from the two tables. Now let's execute these two tables separately. You can see I executed these two tables separately. I executed this one, you return the first table, and this will return the second table. So let's look at these two tables together once more. Okay, so this first table here is a customer table. It contains 8 rows with 7 columns, and this second table is a fact table. It contains 14 rows and 6 or 7 columns, 6 columns here. Okay, if you now want to inner join these two tables together, and if you want to do inner joins on these two tables, it's going to return everything from the smaller table. Which is smaller table? The smaller table is now the first table here because it contains only 8 rows. So it will return everything from the smaller table, and then we return the corresponding value from the second table. Okay, because we have 8 rows in this first table. It's going to return 8 rows from the second table, and it will ignore other rows. Okay, it's going to return the 8 rows from this first table. It now join to 8 rows in this second table. There's now ignore all that the other rows here. You know, you have 14 rows here. It's going to get only 8 rows here, and to ignore other rows from 9 to 14th row. Okay, that's how inner join basically works. Now let's execute our inner join. You can easily use inner join or just leave it as joins alone. Okay, it's still the same thing. Let's execute this one. And so what I was saying is that it's now, you can see that the first table is from this customer key to where to this English occupation here. Okay, that's the first table. The second table started from this product key here to the end. Okay, so it's now join them side by side. It's now, but it will always be what? It will always be it will return everything from the first table. That is the smallest table, because 8 is smaller than 14, right? It will return all the 8 rows from the first table, and then it's now join to the corresponding 8 rows from the second table. That's basically how inner joins work, or inner join works. Okay, so the next type of join we are going to be looking at today is what we call the full outer join. So full outer join basically return everything from both tables completely. Okay, even if the first table is 6 rows alone and the second table is 100 rows, then it's going to return everything from both tables. That is going to return the 100 rows for us. Okay, so for example, now let's run this again. Let's run this query again. Execute this. So you can see the first table here has 8 rows, right? And the second table has 14 rows. That is, the second table is bigger than the first table here. Okay, so for the full outer join, it's going to return everything from both tables. Okay, so it will return these 8 rows, and to also return these 14 rows for us. So basically everything from both tables. So now we have to, now since we don't have, this one is not up to this. Okay, so what's going to happen is that anywhere that we have any empty cell is going to be replacing with what we call the null values. Okay, so now let's execute this. Let's change this to full outer join. Full outer join. Okay, let's execute this and see what we are going to be getting. So you can see here, this is the first table from here to this place. That's our first table. You can see the rows here is what is 8, and others are what? Others are null values, null values, null values, null values. Okay, and the second table is from here to this place, and then we have how many rows here? We have the complete 14 rows here. That is, the full outer is going to return the full table for us. Okay, it's going to return the full table from both tables for us. Okay, but when we don't have any values, it's going to be returning the null values, null values, null values for us. Okay, so even if I reverse this two tables here, that is, I reverse this, I make this one a fact table, Ctrl X this, then paste, then Ctrl X this, and then paste. Now let's execute this and see what we have. So you can see now, even if you reverse the tables, that is, if you make the fact table the first table and then make this customer table the second table, so it's going to reverse the two tables. Now you can see we have the fact tables first here, from here to here, and then we have the customer table from here to the end. Okay, so that is how full outer join basically works. The next type of join we are going to be looking at today, what we call the right join. Okay, the right join basically joins the right table to the left table, but it's going to return everything from the right table, and it will not join to the corresponding rows from the other table. Okay, for example, now we have two tables here, right? So we have this fact table here, and then we have dream customer table here. Okay, so what right join is going to do is that it's going to return everything from this first table, because that is the right table. Oh, it's going to return everything from this second table, because second table is the right table and the first table is left table. Okay, the first table is the left table and the second table is the right table. So what right join is going to do, let's type our right here so it won't be confusing us. What right join is going to do is going to return everything from the right table. The right table is the second table, and now join to the corresponding rows from the left table, which is this particular table here. Okay, so you can see our right table is the customer table, which is this one. This is our right table and this is our left table. So it's going to return everything from our customer table, and it's now joined to the corresponding rows from our fact table. That is how right table works. Now let's execute this and see how it's going to join it. Remember, the right table is the customer table and the left table is the fact table. Let's execute this. So you can see here it will return everything from the right table here. You can see this is the right table from here to here. It's not joined to the corresponding rows from our other table, okay, because this one is more than this. This fact table is actually more than this, but because since we have our right table to be only 8 rows, it's not going to concatenate the other table to become 8 rows as well, and that is going to return this for us. If I change the order of this now, you see what's going to happen. If I change the order of our table now, let me make this one the right table. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V, let's Ctrl X this, and then Ctrl paste it here. So now our right table is what we call the fact internet sales table, and that is 14 rows. Now our left table is only 8 rows. Now it's going to, what right join is going to do is that it's going to return everything from our fact table and join to everything from it will return everything from our fact table, which is 14 rows, but our customer table is only 8 rows. So it's going to return everything from the fact table, that is 14 rows. It's not joined to everything that we have in our dream customer table, but where there's no any value, it's going to be using null values for anywhere that there's no any value at all. Now let's see what we have here. You can see here, now we return everything from the right table, that is from this product key here to the due date, and then it's not joined to the corresponding rows from the left table, that is we have only 8 rows in our left table, but since this one is actually higher than this, we are going to be using null values for other spaces that there is no any value at all. Okay, as you can see here. The next type of join we are going to be looking at today, what we call the left join. So basically, left join basically helps us to join a table from the left to the table in the right. Okay, our left table now is the customer table. Then we are going to be joining everything from this customer table to the corresponding rows in the second table. Okay, so we are going to be returning everything from the left table, which is the customer table. We are going to be joining to the corresponding rows in our fact table, which is the right table. Okay, so if you execute this particular query now, it's going to be returning everything from this left table and to join to everything to the corresponding rows from the fact table as well. If you execute this now, you can see here to return everything from the dream customer table, which is from here to here, and to now join to the corresponding rows from the right table, that is the fact table has 14 rows, right? But if you concatenate this to now make it like equal number of rows from the right and the left table, as you can see here. If you now change the order of our table, let's make this dream customer the second table. Ctrl X, Ctrl V, Ctrl X, Ctrl V. If you execute this now, this is going to return everything from this fact table, that is 14 rows there. But for this customer table, we have only 8 rows, so we're going to return everything from the fact table. It's not joined to the corresponding rows from the dream customer table, that is only 8 rows. But where there is no any value, we're going to be using null values for where there is no any value at all. Let's execute this and see what we have. So you can see here now, it returns everything from the fact table here, from here to here is our fact table. You can see everything is returned. The 14 rows is being returned, okay? You now join to the corresponding rows from the what? From the right table, which is what the dream customer table with only 8 rows, but where there is no any value, it's going to be using no for anywhere there is no any value at all in our left, no, our right table. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about what we call the string functions in SQL. Okay, so these string functions actually basically helps us to manipulate our string. We also call strings tests, right? Like my name is a string or test. Okay, so we call it a string or a test. Like Ezekiel is a test or a string, Alias is a test or string, your name is a test or string. Okay, so our string functions are what we use to manipulate all these tests in SQL. For example, maybe you have a like you have these first names. If you want to change all these first names here to like uppercase, you can easily use test manipulation function that we call that upper function to change these names here into uppercase. Okay, or if you want to change all this gender here to a lowercase, you can easily change all this gender here to a lowercase. So I'm going to be showing you some of these text functions in SQL now. Now we are going to be looking at these text functions in SQL. So we have the length here. The length basically shows us the length of a test. Okay, if you want to see the length of a test, then you can easily see the length of a test. Now let me see if I can do this. Command len. I hope it is going to work. First name. Let's run this. Yes, it works basically. So that is after selecting everything our dream customer, then I'm selecting the first name as I want to get the length of the first name. That is length function is just what we call the length in the length means like the how many characters do we have in this particular first names. Okay, so each of the first names, let me make it capital letter. So each of these first names, you can see the first name. This one is how many characters? We have 3 characters in this John. Jon is 3 characters. Then we have Eugene here. Eugene is basically 6 characters. Then we have Ruben to be 5 characters. Christy to be 7 characters. And then we have Elizabeth to be 9 characters. And then Marco is the last one with 5 characters. So length function basically gets you how many characters that we have in that particular name or column. Okay, so that is how we use the length function. Let's look for other functions as well. You can also rename this length. Instead of us having the column without a name, you can easily give the column a name. Let's give a column a name now. Let's call the name size. Let's make a size of first name. This is how we code in Python. That is, we call this camel case in Python. This is what we call the camel case in Python. The size of first name. Also type the name here. Size of first name. Now let's execute this and see what we have now. So you can see size of first name is 3. That is the length of the first name is 3, and so on and so forth. Now let's get another thing. Now let's look for the upper. Let's change all the first name now to an uppercase. Okay, that we use upper function. As you can see here, you use upper function to change to uppercase. That is upper first. Now type the first name inside the function. Type the first name as an argument inside the function. Now let's give it a name as well. So the upper is going to be u first name, upper first name, like something like this. U stand for upper. So you can see here u first name. So everything in our first name is now in uppercase. As you can see, this one is in sentence case, but here we have it in what? In uppercase. Now let's select for lower. Let's check lower. Type the lower. Then open a bracket as a function and then input your argument. The argument is going to be, let's change all our professional to lowercase. English professional occupation to lowercase, rather. English occupation to lowercase. English occupation now. Let's change that to lowercase. Execute, and then you can see all the English occupation in lowercase. Okay, now let's give it a name as well. Occupation. Occupation is fine. Let's execute this again. You can see the occupation here. They are all in lowercase now. Now let's check for trim. So what trim does basically is that trim will help us to remove any leading characters in our leading space in our string. Okay, for example, if I have Ezekiel, okay, I've selected Ezekiel now. Let me show you how trim works. Trim. Now put Ezekiel here. Okay, so basically if I just type Ezekiel here with uppercase. Now let me show us this first before I use the trim. Type Ezekiel here with uppercase. Ezekiel is a string, okay? So any string in SQL, you can close it in a single quote, okay? Any string should be in a single quote. For example, like Ezekiel, my name is a string and it should be in a single quote, okay? So if I execute this Ezekiel, now it's going to be all in uppercase, right? Ezekiel should be all in uppercase. You can see here, all in uppercase. But now I want to Ezekiel with a space at the beginning. Let's give Ezekiel a space at the beginning. You notice that there's going to be a space at the beginning of Ezekiel. Let's give it like 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3 spaces. Now let's execute this again. Now there is a space here. If you notice here, there will be a space here. Let's give it 3 more spaces. 1, 2, 3. Execute this space or highlight before you execute. You can see the space is now bigger or larger. You can see now. So if you want to remove all these spaces in SQL, in case your table has a space in the first name like this, but this one does not have a space, that's why I'm using Ezekiel as an example, because my table here does not have a space in the first name. Okay, so I'm using Ezekiel as an example because Ezekiel now is going to be having a space like this one now. So I'm going to be removing all this space using what we call the trim function in SQL. So the trim function basically helps you to remove all the leading spaces that you don't need in SQL, and it's going to leave only one space. If there are like 3 different tests, there's going to be leaving only one space between them. For example, if I type Ezekiel then space Aleke, that is my surname. Okay, now let's execute this. Let's use upper again to execute this before we use the trim so you can understand better. You can see now Ezekiel space Aleke. You can see here now there are spaces here in the first before the Ezekiel here. We have about 6 spaces before Ezekiel here, and then we have 1 space between Ezekiel and Aleke here. So what trim is going to do is that it's going to remove all these spaces at the beginning that is not necessary for us, okay? And it's going to leave this space, this 1 space between Aleke and Ezekiel, okay? Even if I add another spaces at the end like this, more spaces here. Now let's execute this and see what we have. You can see now there will be more spaces at the end here, but if I use trim function now, it's going to remove all those spaces at the end and the ones at the beginning. I'm going to leave only this one between Ezekiel and Aleke. Okay, now let's execute this and see what we have. You can see now it remove all those spaces that we don't need in our test. Okay, now let's give it a name. Can just give it a trim. You can see the name is trim now. Okay, that's how I use trim in SQL. Okay, now we have another one we call left trim and then right trim. So right trim basically removes all the spaces. Let's copy this again before I explain the right trim. Control C. Now let's paste here. Okay, so the right trim, you can see the right trim, your right. So the right trim will remove all the spaces by the right of your test. That is, this is the right of the test, right? Then it's going to leave this one, right? That is what the right trim is going to do. The right trim will remove all the tests by all the empty spaces by the right, and it's going to leave other spaces. It's not going to do anything to other spaces, but it will remove all the spaces here by the right. Okay, now let's execute this and see what we have. So I didn't select everything. So you can see here now there's 6 space here. If you compare this one to this one, you will see there's no space at the beginning of this, but there's space at the beginning of this. Now there is no space at the end of this. Okay, so if you now use left trim is going to remove all the spaces in the beginning of a test. As all these spaces, the left trim is going to remove all these spaces in the beginning of a test. Now let's copy and paste again. Just paste here. Let's give it a name. Right trim, comma, let's give this a name as well, L trim, comma. Now let's execute our query now. There's something wrong. Okay, where is it wrong? Oh, there shouldn't be a comma here. Okay, so you can see the difference between these two now. So this one basically remove all the spaces in all all the unnecessary spaces in our text, but this one remove only the unnecessary spaces by the right of our text, but this remove all the necessary spaces by the left of our text. You can see here there are spaces at the beginning here, but there's no space here at all in the beginning. Okay, that's the difference between the trim, left trim, and the right trim. Okay, and now let's use the comma again now, because the comma was supposed to be there. If you want to type another thing, there should be comma there. Now let's go back to a new now. So now next thing is what is the left function. Left function basically helps us to extract a text in the beginning of our text. Okay, like if you want to extract maybe like first two texts in the first name, like JON, extract JON from the first name. It's going to extract the first characters from our text. Okay, that is what the left is going to do. So if you want to use text, then type your left inside the function, then put the first name inside. Put first name inside. Then after the first name, then you now specify how many texts you want to get from the beginning of the character. Now specify how many characters you want to get from the beginning of the text. As I want to get the first two characters from my first name now, then type 2. Because I want to get JO here, I will get EU here, I will get RU here, CHEL, GU, JU, and JAMA for this one. So then let's execute this and see what we have. You can see here JO, as I said, is going to get the first two characters from the beginning of our text. Now let's give this a name. This should be left. Now comma. The next thing is what? Next thing is the right function. The right, as the left does, left is from the beginning of the text, but the right is from the end of the text. That is, you can extract as many characters as you want from the end of the text. Okay, if I want to extract the last two characters from my last name, or let's do something else. Let's say use last name. If I want to get the last two characters from my last name, they can easily use the right to get the last two characters from my last names. Okay, now let's type right. Okay, now the right function, you don't need this. Then the first name. Let's execute and see what we have. Okay, the right. Okay, I want to get two characters from at the end of my text. Okay, so now specify the two characters you want to get. Type 2 here, and then let's execute this and then see the two characters that we got from the left down the right side. Okay, that's how you use right. Let's give it a name as well. Right. Okay, now comma. Next thing is what we call the substring in SQL. So the substring helps you to get character from anywhere in your text. Okay, either the beginning or the end or in the middle of your text. Okay, but for the left only gets a character from the left side that is on the beginning of your text. Right is at the end of your text, but the substring is from anywhere in your text, either the beginning, the middle, or the end of your text. Okay, now let's type the substring like this, and then the function is going to be having the first name here. Okay, now where do I want to start? Okay, substring works like this. That is, you specify the text you want to get the characters from, that is from the first name, right? Then comma. The next thing is, where do you want to start getting the character? Okay, if you want to start from the first character, that is, if you want to get only J here, you can easily get J. That is, start from the first character and then get the next one character. Now let's get that. You start from the first character and then get one character. Okay, now let's execute and see what we have. You can see here, you start from the first character here and then get only one character, that is only the first character in our name. Okay, that is J. You get J from here, M from here, and that is how that works. You can also get the next character after the first character, that is the second characters alone. I want to get only the second character from these our characters alone. To get second character now, just start from the second character. That's what this means, and then get only one character. Start from the second character and get only one character. Let's see what we have now. You can see here, start from the second character. Second character is what is O, and then get only one character, that is, gets that same O for me. And then here, same thing, U, use, H, L, U, A. Okay, and that is what we have here. Now, if I want to get the last two characters, I can easily get that as well. I want to get the last two characters, okay? Even though I can't get the last two characters, maybe I can get that. Let's see if this will work. So start from the last 2 and then get 2. Let's see if it will work. Let's just say experiment. And it works. Okay, so that is to get the last 2 characters from your text. Okay, so you start from the last 2. This means that is last 2. If I type only 2 here, this means start from the second character. Okay, start from the second character and get me the next 2 characters. This is what this basically means. Let's execute this and see what it will give us. Start from the second character and then get me the next 2 characters. That is, start from O and then get me ON. Start from the second one is going to start from U and then get me UG. Start from U and get me UB. Start from H and get me HR. Start from L and get me LI. Okay, but if I type minus here, this means start from the second character from the end. That is, reverse the list now. So start from the second character from the end. Okay, that is, start from second character from the end. That is, count 1 N and O. Start from O and then get me the next 2 characters. That is what this basically means. Okay, let's execute and see what we have. You can see here to start counting from the end and get to the last 2 characters at the end of your test. Okay, that is how you get the last 2 characters. So the next thing I'm going to be dealing with now is what we call the replace function in SQL. Let's type replace. So replace function basically replace like a value in our text. Okay, for example, I want to replace, you can see my name here is Ezekiel Aleke. So I want to replace Ezekiel with what? With Victor. I don't want to send Ezekiel inside my name. I want to my name is Victor. Okay, my name is also Victor, so I want to be saying Victor Aleke. So you can easily replace that. Okay, Victor Aleke. So this is the text. I want to replace this Ezekiel. Replace Ezekiel with what? With Victor. That is, so use your command. So the next argument here is what you want to replace. I want to replace Ezekiel, right? I want to replace Ezekiel. Then the next argument is what do you want to replace Ezekiel with? I want to replace Ezekiel with what? With Victor. Like this. Now let's see what we are going to get. We have Victor Aleke, Victor Aleke, Victor Aleke, and Victor Aleke, Victor Aleke everywhere. Okay, so that is how you use to replace in SQL. Let's see the last one, which is concat. Let's go to the next row here and type our concat function. So concat function basically concatenates multiple texts together. That is, you want to join first name and then the last name together. You can easily join first and the last name together. But here we don't have last name here. So I'm going to be joining what? I'm going to be joining the first name and gender together. That is, I want to see their gender in front of the first names. Okay. So concatenate these two now. First of all, type the first name. And then use your command. Next, I want to concatenate with first name is what is the gender. So type gender here. Gender. Now let's execute this and see what we have. No name, there should be a space, nothing here. Before Victor Ezekiel. So you can see here we have John M. John is male, Eugene is male, Ruben is male, Christy is female, Elizabeth is female, Julio is male, Janet is female, and Marco is male. But there's no space between the first name and the gender. So now let's put a space between the first name and the gender. So another comma, then inside the 2 commas, now put 2 spaces like this, empty space like this, then give a space between the first name and the gender. Now they have a space between the first name and the gender. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use subquery in SQL. Okay, so basically subquery is used to retrieve data inside another data. Okay, so subquery is used to write a query inside another query, like a smaller query inside a bigger query. We also call subquery an inner query or a query inside another query or a nested query. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use subquery in a select statement, in a from statement, and also in a where statement. Okay, so the first one is going to be a subquery in a select statement. Okay, so you can select something from any of these tables. I'm going to be using these 2 tables here. So you can select something from any of these tables here, and then can easily add another query inside that particular select query to query even further. So let me show you an example and stop talking. So now you have to start by selecting. So I want to select the first name from this customer table, the first name, the gender, and then the average yearly income of each of the first names. Okay, I will say the first name, the gender, and then the average yearly income of each of the first name. This is a yearly income here, and it is not an average yearly income, so I have to add the average yearly income by myself. Okay, so now select statements. Let me select everything first from our dream customer table. Okay, so now I want to specify what I want to select from this particular dream customer table. The first thing is the first name, as I said. Select the first name, then select the gender. And then I'm going to be getting the average yearly income of each of the customers. So now if I type the average yearly income here, it is not going to work. Okay, let's execute this. Now it is not going to work until I use a subquery to get the average yearly income. I will now add the average yearly income to this query that I selected here. Okay, so now we'll have to enclose this in another select statement, something like select, then close everything in a subquery. So select average yearly income from where? Select average yearly income from the dream customer table as well. Average yearly income from dream customer table. Now if you run this one, it's going to work now. You can see now we have the average yearly income here, but the average yearly income does not have a name yet. Now let's give our average yearly income a name. Let's just call it an income. Okay, so now call it an income. You can see now, so we have our first name, the gender, and then the average yearly income of each of our customers. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be looking at today is how to use our subquery inside the from statement. So subquery is inside the from statement. Let me show you how to use a subquery inside this from statement. Now let me copy this whole query, Control C, and then paste it here. So now select the first name, the gender. I would like to use this one again, Control C. Now paste it here, Control V. Okay, so now we have, and close this in a bracket. Okay, so now we have this query here, and we have another subquery inside our from statement. Okay, so now let's do this well. So we don't need this one here again. We only need this income here because we're going to be needing the income. So I want to get the first name, the gender, and then the income again. Okay, now let's see how to do that. So we have to do this again because we're getting errors here. Select this, and this from. Now we are going to create another table here entirely. We are going to be querying this table here using this particular query here. Okay, that's how it basically works. Okay, so we are going to be selecting the select first name, gender, and then income from this new table that we created in this place. Okay, so I used over here because over is used in a window query, right? In a window function. So we use over in the window function, so we can easily iterate over the window table to get what we want. So here you have to use the over function, so we're able to select this aggregation function with what? With our normal columns here. That's why we used over here. Okay, so I'm going to be selecting this old table first. I'm going to be creating this old table first. Okay, the table's name is what we call the new T. The new T is our table's name. So we create this old table first. Okay, and then we will now select the first name, gender, and then income from this new table. Okay, now let's execute this and see what we have. Oh, no bad. Execute. Now you see what we have here. So we selected what? The first name, the gender, and then the income over this new query here. Okay, so that's how we use the subquery in a from statement. So we're going to be looking at the subquery inside our where statements now. Okay, so you can use subquery in our where statement to join two tables together. So that is to query two tables at the same time. So we're going to be querying our two tables now. It is this customer table and then our facts table. We're going to be querying the two of them at the same time using what? Using the subquery inside the where clause. Okay, so how to do that is that we're going to be selecting the first name and the customer key first. Okay, so I'm going to be selecting select customer name or customer key. Let's get the customer key. It's not showing here, so let me get everything first. Get everything from dream customer table. Now let's get the customer key here. Customer key is here, and then I'm going to be getting the customer's first name as well. So get the customer key and the customer first table. Now let's see what we have there. So we have the customer key and the customer first name there, as you can see it here now. Okay, so the next thing is now where, what, so where. So now we're going to be having our subquery inside our where clause now. So where, now customer key, in, now let's write a subquery for this in now. So the subquery is going to be select what we need. Okay, what do we need? Okay, what do we need? So now we basically need a customer key that has a sales amount that is higher than 2k. Okay, now we need a customer key that has sales amount. Okay, customer key from what? From our second table, which is the facts table. Second key from the facts table, not this facts table, the other facts table, my bad, the second fact table here. So customer key from this fact table, so where the sales amount here is greater than 2000, where sales amount is greater than 2000. So this is how to use our subquery here inside the where. So you can see where customer key in. So all the customer keys that their sales amount is greater than 2000 is what we are going to be returning back now. So here we have the 8 rows here. Let's see how many rows we have after we return the customer key above 2000. Now we have only 3 customer keys that are above 2000 sales, that's more than 2000 sales amount. Okay, so that is how you use subquery inside your where clause.